At my wedding, my mom grinned and announced, "We're transferring the apartment her parents gifted you to your sister." My sister chuckled and chimed in, "Chill out. It's merely a spot to rest." Then my dad declared it's settled. "She has 4 children, mature up." But then my fiancé gazed at them, removed her ring and stated, "My name is Jacob. I'm 29, a staff sergeant in infantry. Eldest sibling, designated driver, default fixer. I'm the son who can manage it." In my household, that translates to being the supporting character, the one who covers the pizza bill and hauls the furniture and stays silent so the main attractions can glow. My sister Naomi is 27 with 4 kids and a glowing halo over her that could read favorite child. If she exhales, my parents cheer. If I get hurt, they remark, "You're tough, you'll cope." I realized young that absence equals blame. "You're hardly ever around," Mom would comment, if I skipped a meal due to drills or didn't answer the call within the first few minutes. That phrase resided in our home like an extra relative. It appeared during celebrations, in clinic lobbies, at the close of any chat where I attempted to set a limit. I'm not theatrical. I rise at 5:30, jog, tidy the bed, press a shirt even if unseen. I portion coffee with a measure, not emotion. I say affirmative when I mean okay. I say understood when I mean I disagree but I'll comply. I don't hurl dishes. I don't bang entrances. I tally mentally and act like I don't. The ceremony we organized was modest. We selected a basic venue near the water, around 50 guests. We opted for coffee and baked goods rather than booze since Mia avoids alcohol, and I had a health exam early Monday and preferred not to face it with a headache. Mia chose flat shoes to avoid stumbling. Her gown featured short sleeves and pockets as she prefers holding tissues and a candy. Her folks operate a pastry shop. They provided the cake and, as a shock, something larger. Documents for a compact flat they'd purchased long ago as an asset. They desired us to begin steadily. We'd finalize after the wedding days. 2 spaces and a small patio that holds 2 seats if you sit close. It was the initial occasion in my existence where an entrance would secure behind me and nobody else possessed a duplicate key due to emergencies. I kept it unspoken, but sensed it in my chest. Vows exchanged, pictures taken. Mia's palm was cozy in mine. My commander was cracking a quip about saluting during our kiss. The children pursued one another with serviettes knotted as cloaks. The area scented like cinnamon buns. My mom neared with that grin she employs when about to declare a communal update as a favor. Dad lingered nearby, arms crossed. Naomi floated over, already giggling at an untold jest. Mom uttered, cheerful and composed, "We're shifting the apartment her parents presented to you toward your sister." My mind froze. I figured I misunderstood amid the rattle of utensils. Naomi flipped her locks and grinned smugly. "Chill out. It's merely a spot to rest." Dad delivered the blow. "It's settled. She has 4 children, mature up." The space fell silent in a particular manner, as if the atmosphere itself tilted forward. I sensed the familiar impulse surge up my back. Grin, smooth it over, suggest we'll discuss afterward, resolve it discreetly, suffer silently. It's an instinct drilled into me deeper than my weapon exercises. Mia didn't pause for me to act on that. She eyed my parents, then me. She slipped her ring off, not exaggerated, just exact, and placed it next to the coffee container. Prior to finalizing anything, she declared firm, "We're going to clarify who decides on our residence." Every utensil in the space halted. Even the youngsters hushed. That was the initial spark, not the funds yet, not the access. Just the statement, our residence, our choice. And me, at last hearing it voiced. I wasn't aware yet, but that was when something within me rose. I was raised in a home where assistance meant Jacob will manage it. Dad handled upkeep at the medical center, evenings mainly. Mom managed all in a style that ensured you recognized she managed all. It wasn't poverty like in films. It was that we constantly trailed 12 inches past the payment deadline. When Naomi began having children, those 12 inches stretched to 12 months. The implicit guidelines were straightforward. If Naomi requires anything, we all halt our activities. If Jacob requires anything, perhaps he should cease requiring. At 18, I joined the military. My parents labeled it a temporary thing. At 22, upon re-enlisting, they termed it dodging duties. I forwarded funds home as they claimed the electricity might cut off. I sent urgent payments since Naomi's vehicle failed, and it was a simple oil swap nobody wished to fund. I purchased school footwear for my nieces as my sister wept over the line, and I was 6,000 miles distant and couldn't bear the noise. I never demanded, retain invoices. I grew to appreciate bank wires like others cherish vessels. During visits on break, the checklist awaited on the cooler. Collect laundry, dad's outfits. Swap shower fixture, mom's spine aches. Contact owner for Naomi, she avoids disputes. Repair the web, deliver money, underline double. If I mentioned craving one day solely to rest, mom would incline her head, gentle tone. "You're hardly ever around." The phrase was a dissolver that eroded my refusal to nil. Dad would append, "You don't aim to be the type of guy who abandons his sibling in need." Naomi would message a series of sobbing icons and please, please, please. And that concluded it. Certain figures lodged in my mind like spikes. $480 for dad's generator repair as the reputable shop wouldn't release without settlement. $1,200 to Naomi's proprietor after she misread the deadline. $650 to settle mom's tooth care installment since she despises installments. $2,143 my tax refund once, dispatched in 2 parts as we'll reimburse when Eli's extra arrives. The extra never arrived. It emerged it wasn't that sort of position. I maintained a cerebral record even when I vowed I didn't. Not merely currency, hours, conversations, services, 31 airport collections, 17 weekend mornings dedicated to relocating Naomi among leases, 64 ignored calls on the opening day of my recent assignment as she faced an issue with the adjacent resident and required my intervention. I encountered Mia amid rotations. She chuckles with her full lips and utters pleas to unknowns and stocks energy bars in her purse as someone might skip a meal. She doesn't demand items, she poses inquiries. When my device vibrated with mom's pleas on our second outing, I expressed regret like I'd shattered a dish. Mia remarked, "You needn't regret others' crises." I'd never encountered it worded thus. When I presented her to my parents, mom's grin was amicable and pointed. "She's charming," she informed me afterward, "but can she cope with your timetable and hours?" That final term, hours, struck heavily. Mia's parents managed the pastry shop. They arose at 4:30, twisted dough, debated flour like physicians debate remedies. They offered without tracking points. For the marriage present, they proposed the flat. They stated, "Only if you both desire it." The documents weren't completely shifted yet, but all was prepared to endorse the Monday post-wedding. I informed my parents at Sunday meal. Mom nodded as if indulging a kid. "That's wonderful," she said. "And sensible. Naomi can utilize it during your absences. Vacant spots are inefficient." "It's ours," I replied. "You're hardly ever around," she countered, and grinned as if she'd cracked the riddle. Naomi began discussing the flat like shared assets. She messaged for the complex's guest code, as school retrieval is simpler if I station there. She requested a duplicate of the keys for crises. She shared a Pinterest collection named Patio Concepts with suspended seats and plant plots and mentioned me. When I recalled we hadn't endorsed, she dispatched amused icons. "Minutiae," she typed, "be cooperative." The week prior to the wedding, I was in the vehicle area when she rang 12 times consecutively. I eventually responded, "Can I place the rental in my title if it's better for finances?" She inquired like requesting a piece of candy. "We can adjust it subsequently." "No," I stated firmly, "definitely not." "Why are you acting strange?" she retorted. "You're hardly ever around. You and Mia can lodge with mom and dad when visiting." Eli, her spouse, addressed me as dude whenever he messaged for funds. He never addressed me anything when it concerned the kids' anniversaries or performances. I learned I was more valuable as a payment method than a relative. The marriage day came, and I convinced myself no incidents would occur. We maintained it compact, balanced, secure. We scheduled each moment. I overlooked I couldn't schedule others' choices. I overlooked I couldn't timetable my parents' expectations into a calmer period. So when my mother grinned and declared the flat was shifting to my sister, it was astonishing and unsurprising. It was a narrative I'd encountered lifelong, just with fresh elements. My father's mature up was the familiar refrain. Naomi's chill out was the amusement cue. What I didn't anticipate, what I never thought I could anticipate, was Mia placing the ring aside and identifying the issue in one phrase. That phrase, "our residence," lingered in the space. I didn't elevate my tone. I didn't utter regrettable terms. I didn't exit angrily. Those aren't my tactics. I remained with a disposable cup of coffee and the ring on the surface, and my kin aligned like a jury. Mom retained her grin steady. "We'll handle the forms Monday," she said, as if we'd consented. "It's optimal for all." "For you," Mia replied, "not for us." Naomi exhaled dramatically. "You're overreacting. It's merely a spot to rest." Dad crossed his arms firmer. "She has 4 children. Jacob, I know," I said. "I know the identities and birth dates." "Then behave like a sibling." "I am," I said. "A sibling who also claims existence." Mia contacted the ring and then returned it to her digit. Her tone remained steady. "This is straightforward. The flat is Jacob's and mine. If that isn't honored, we don't endorse. We don't relocate. We're not constructing a residence amid a contest." A few of my comrades moved nearer as they figured perhaps they'd have to pull me out. They didn't. I wasn't departing. Mom's grin narrowed. "Mia dear, you're fresh here. You don't grasp how we aid one another." "I grasp precisely," Mia said. "I've observed Jacob surrender weekends, salaries, rest, and every extra bit of himself. I've observed him being informed he lacks input because he's absent to provide it. The expression, "you're hardly ever around," is not a kin principle. It's a method to delete him. Naomi rotated her eyes so intensely it seemed painful. "Oh Lord," Dad inclined forward, tone low and cautionary. "Watch it." I ultimately perceived the layout of the space. It was my existence mapped as a chart. Me, the reliable connector, them, the flow. No fee station, no load restrictions. I retrieved the ring, pressed it into Mia's grasp, and then addressed my parents as I hadn't mastered until that instant. Composed, explicit, "We're not providing you the flat." Mom fluttered her lids. "Pardon. We're not providing you our residence." "Don't address your mother thus," Dad said. "I'm addressing the resolution," I said, "not the individual." Naomi chuckled, brief and cutting, so self-centered. "Perhaps," I said. "Or perhaps I'm done being the sole grown-up." Mom tightened her expression. "After all we've provided for you." I raised a palm. "We're not unfolding a record today." She halted. That term struck. Record. We all recognized it was there, even if in murmurs and breaths. "This isn't vengeance," I said as I required the facts aloud. "This is resolution, about limits. If you care for us, you'll honor them. If not, we'll care for you from our own residence with the entrance secured." Dad's lips shifted as if masticating the phrases. "Mature up," he repeated softer. "I just did," I responded. There was no yelling afterward, just an emptiness. Folks feigned interest in the sweet display. Youngsters gazed directly. Aunt Becca mouthed, impressive, and then faked a cough. We returned to our spot like ordinary attendees. We consumed cake quietly. I observed Mia converse with my commander about jogging paths by the water. I observed my parents preside in the nook, summoning kin one after another. I observed Naomi tap on her device, as if composing an official document. None of that altered the ring back on Mia's digit. None of it altered the phrase that had been uttered and couldn't be retracted. The tipping point wasn't a crash. It was a snap, the noise a latch produces when the bar fully engages. The wedding concluded with individuals departing singly or in pairs, toting cardboard containers with cake portions that would harden in their coolers. My unit clasped my hand and offered that glance men exchange when they wish to convey, "I'm available if required," without awkwardness. Mia's parents piled platters and bundled remains like a practice squad. My parents departed without embracing me. Naomi embraced me rigidly like a dummy and murmured, "You'll correct this tomorrow." At 11:07 p.m., Mom rang. I allowed it to ring. At 11:09, a message, "I'm disappointed in you." At 11:10, "Leave the keys at our place tonight." Naomi begins settling in the morning. We lacked keys yet. Mia and I wound up in the rear of her dad's vehicle with 2 remaining buns and a flask. We sat in the dimness and consumed bread and giggled until the giggling became that mute, unsteady respiration you perform when your system remains vigilant. "It seems like I removed a load," I said, "and my spine is unsure." "It'll seem lighter than heavier than lighter," she said. Surges. Sunday dawn, 23 unanswered calls. Dad messaged, "Kin gathering." 1400 arrive promptly. Naomi messaged, "If you care for me, demonstrate it." She attached an image of her children. I gazed at their expressions and sensed the remorse strike as always. Then I envisioned an entrance with a latch and 2 seats on a compact patio, and recalled, affection isn't an open account. At midday, we visited the certifier, the space scented like aged documents and citrus sanitizer. We endorsed 18 minutes. The assistant said, "Felicitations," as he utters it 20 times daily. We exited with a brown folder holding a tomorrow. We gazed up at the structure. A bird gazed down at us as if unimpressed. At 13:58, we arrived at my parents' driveway. Mia said jointly, I said jointly. Within, it was set like a court once more. Mom on the sofa, Dad in his seat, Naomi with a pad and pen as if leading a group. The screen was silent with captions. The youngsters drew at the table. I spotted the checklist on the cooler. Jacob, contact utility firm. Jacob, repair drain. Jacob, inspect Naomi's vehicle. The writing was recent. "We'll handle this swiftly," Mom said as if presiding. "You'll grant Naomi the flat for a year. We'll review later. You're hardly ever around." "No," I said. "Don't address your mother thus," Dad said. "I'm addressing the scheme," I said. The response is no. Naomi avoided gazing from the pad. "Option," she said. "You provide us $1,500 monthly for 12 months. That's undervalue. View it as relative fee. The youngsters require consistency." "I'm their relative," I said, "not an extra revenue source." Mia's tone was soft. "We're not bargaining our residence." Mom's grin fractured. "You believe you'll retain her if she witnesses how self-centered you are with kin." It was a direct hit, targeted at the vulnerable spot. Mia responded prior to me, "Yes, because I'm not requesting him to serve as a mat so I can clean my soles." Dad leaned ahead. "If your sibling winds up homeless, that's your fault." "She won't," I said. "She has you. She has options. She forever has." Naomi's gaze was damp now, but I recognized this act. "You don't comprehend the difficulty," she said. "It's tough." "I know," I said. "I've been funding tough." Quiet. The timer clicked. Mom rose. "If you depart now, you're excluded from this kin." I inhaled deeply enough to support a reply. If that's the guideline you require, fine, I care for you. We're heading home. We departed. The brown folder was warm in Mia's grasp like it pulsed. We traveled to the flat and ascended the steps and remained in the vacant area and heard the stillness. I placed the keys on the surface. Then I retrieved them and stored them in a compartment so I could rehearse not abandoning them for others to discover. The following week was clamor, rings, notes, collective discussions I avoided. Naomi shared on social media, some folks only appear for pictures. She mentioned me, removed, mentioned again. Aunt Becca messaged, I'm pleased for you. Don't inform your mother I stated that. My father rang from varied numbers daily as if attempting to outmaneuver me. My mother dispatched an ongoing count. Naomi wept thrice today. Your father's pressure rose 14 units. The youngsters inquired about their relative. On day 9 she composed, will pardon you when you regain sense. I composed one response, I care for you. I'm not debating our flat. On Tuesday, Eli rang. Dude, he said, all phony casual. Can we stay in the spare area for a month? Just till we locate something. We lack a spare area. Main room? No. Patio? No. He cursed, you've altered. I'm attempting. Operations attempted to infiltrate. Mom messaged Mia's parents with an official note. As you are aware, Jacob is frequently missing due to his profession. It benefits all if Naomi uses the space during those gaps. Mia's mom replied with one sentence. The flat is a present to Jacob and Mia jointly. I reviewed it thrice and felt my frame ease an inch. I informed my commander the essentials. He inquired if I required leave. I said I was okay. I wasn't, but I desired to be the me who didn't resemble a charged line. I appeared punctually. I performed the tasks. I jogged further. I rested poorly. I awoke with my teeth gritted. In the flat, we established a pattern. We acquired a $60 surface from a guy named Igor who demanded to transport it upstairs while narrating about the feline who napped on it. We discovered 2 damaged cups in a container Mia marked kitchen essentials. We consumed noodles late. We debated the noisy tap and chuckled midway. I suspended an inexpensive drape poorly. Mia corrected it next dawn while I did exercises on the ground and feigned not to observe her. Thursdays, I messaged Naomi. We're available Sunday 1400-1600 if the youngsters desire the playground. She responded once, we don't require your handouts. I wish to message a section about affection and moments and how playgrounds aren't handouts, but I didn't. You don't convert a refusal to agreement by composing a book. By the second week, the device grew quieter, a odd quiet that resembled the hush after a pyrotechnic display concludes, and you're hearing echoes. I kept assuming I'd erred as the clamor vanished. Then I understood the quiet was what I'd requested. It simply didn't seem like a reward yet. Then arrived the unannounced visit. Saturday dawn, 7:20, tap on the entrance. 2 rapid, 1 extended. Kin's signal, Mia eyed me. I shook my head. We stayed immobile. The tap repeated. Jacob, Mom's voice. Unlock, then Naomi's. The youngsters need the restroom. I remained motionless until the tapping ceased. We messaged. Please don't arrive uninvited. We're absent. It was false. It was also the limit. The message returned swiftly. How bold. The youngsters were chilly. You're trivial. I placed my device screen down. Mia prepared flapjacks. We consumed them leisurely. Aunt Becca rang later. Mia prepared flapjacks. We consumed them leisurely. Aunt Becca rang later. Your mother claims you barred children in the frost. It was 48 degrees. I uttered nothing. For the record, Becca said, I believe you're correct. Your mother isn't accustomed to the entrance securing oppositely. Mia attached a tiny memo inside the entrance. Do we desire this? It was for us, not them. We settled on a guideline before we unlock to anything. Arrivals, please. Obligations, we pose that query. If the response is no, we maintain the entrance closed. It seemed immature to note it. It also succeeded. On a Wednesday evening, Dad dispatched. Visit 1900. Solo, I didn't. I responded with an image of our patio with 2 budget seats and a flora that might perish. He replied with a lone dot. I gazed at that as if it held his full letdown. 2 weeks later, something shifted in me. I arose, brewed coffee, and realized I hadn't prepared for a disaster. The climate app indicated precipitation. My device indicated nil. The flat scented like bread. Mia slumbered on her flank with her palm under her face. It was routine. That was the wonder. Not explosions. Not cheers. Just a Tuesday dawn where nobody possessed me. The quiet didn't mend all. It created space to view what required mending. I viewed how instinctive my agreement had been. I viewed how I'd converted affection into work and named it obligation, as I feared being labeled self-centered. I viewed how you're hardly ever around had become a regulation in my mind that permitted everyone else to reside in mine. I began modest. I informed Mia every plea I received, even the embarrassing ones. We placed each on the $60 surface and posed the entrance query. Do we desire this? Can we support this? Does this align for us? Sometimes the response was, yes, with constraints. We dispatched provisions once. We handled a deductible with the precise sum and no extra. I rang Naomi's children every Sunday at 1500 for 20 minutes. If they missed, we attempted next. I didn't pursue. One afternoon, I encountered Mom near the market. She appeared diminished. She stood with palms around a trolley as if it might drift. "Are you content?" she inquired, not harshly, just weary. "I'm truthful," I said. "You're not the lad I nurtured." "I know," I said. "I matured." We remained an extended minute while a youth shoved a row of trolleys behind us. The steel chimed like chimes. "I don't seek payback," I said. "I seek resolution. I seek an existence where affection isn't an invoice." She nodded once. "We'll observe. Perhaps she will, perhaps not. Here's my conclusion. I'm Jacob. I'm 29, I'm a fighter. I'm an oldest son who ceased being a connector you can traverse anything over. I possess a flat with 2 seats that scarcely suit the patio. I possess an entrance that secures internally. I care for my kin. I won't finance their crises automatically. I won't surrender keys because someone claims I'm hardly ever around. I won't be shamed into viewing limits as disloyalty. That's the boundary I uphold on difficult days. I review the memo inside the entrance. Do we desire this? I place my palm on the latch and recall the snap at our wedding when Mia placed her ring aside and everything within me ultimately rose. We're constructing an existence. It's not theatrical. It's plates in the basin and jogging at 600 and a noisy tap and a flora that might survive. It's 2 damaged cups and coffee that's overly potent and a patio just sufficient for us. It's silent, and then loud, and then silent again.